There's in the background. Alright, hold on. Yo, what's good, y'all? Alright, let's see. Hold on. Beautiful people. We go back. Yo, I'm really trying to like get into the groove of going live all the time. What am I looking for? Man, I feel like I've been doing this shit too long. Since I was 7, I've been rapping, steady trying to blow. They done slept on me and criticized, talking down. Not for the singing, bitch, you gotta go pay for the show. Since a young and I've been getting it on my own. You gotta get it, nigga, that's what I was told. I ain't quit it and I put that on my soul. I'm dedicated, that's on everything I know. I'm dedicated, baby, that's on all I know. Why the fuck can I not move this? I promise I won't fall. Searching for some gold. I'ma get it, that's on everything I know. You keep it around me, serious, I do whatever that it takes just to get it. I ain't never listened to the critics, I put my mind to the 9, I did it. I don't do no drugs when I'm in your city, I swear that I'm out the feeling. Put me for a show when I walk in the building, you know I turn up to the ceiling. They think that I act like a star, they think I'm stuck up, I be chilling. Thank the Lord that I made it far. There's so many people dead, down fell face pilling. They really think that I got millions, I ain't need to make a killing. I know they was taking care of me. We're definitely gonna have to start this over. We're definitely gonna start that over. Wow. What's good, beautiful people? All right, so we're about to jump in after we listen to Dedicated, because of course we got to start it off with like something to get us into the fucking groove. And of course we're having our follow-up conversation about like credit and everything else. So yeah, y'all enjoy this. I'ma get this on everything I know. She move fast, remember it was moving slow. As a young and I've been jumped up off the pole. Don't need no lecture, you just need what you know. Have a ticket in the palace the day I came home. Hanging on the block with a pole, trying to get some dough. Saying no, she's that shit. Is this a sample? A couple niggas tried him, he ain't never let it go. Revenge on them niggas. Yo, somebody sent me a copy of their credit report and I can't pull it up. And that's mad annoying right now. Okay, so I'ma get this on everything I know. You keep it around me, serious, I do whatever that it takes to get it. Do I have a copy of my credit report? Fuck, let's see. Credit. CRE. There's so many people dead, down fell face pill. They really think that I got millions. I ain't need make a kill. I know they wish they could kill. Credit report PDF. Alright, I got way too much shit going on. Actually, no. Fuck it, I could, yeah. Damn, what year was this? just searching for some gold. I'ma get this on everything I know. All right, y'all. So we started our day with Young Boy. Yay! Thank y'all for the likes. All right. So last week we stopped at going through the discrepancies with your credit report. So essentially, we're going to hop back in on that note with that. If you did get your triple credit report, it would have all 3 credit reports on there. So if you didn't, you should annualcreditreport.com will give you the breakdown for all 3. And of course, if you don't have it within 10 days, they'll send it out to you. So looking at it again, you should have started with your first box, which would have been your personal information. So you're going to have all the names that's reported. So it would show you all the credit bureaus. Damn. I'm gonna figure out how to be able to show y'all this actually, because that's gonna disconnect that. So just follow along with your credit report, please. So in your personal information box, every name that you have that's ever been listed. So this, I'm looking at like my first credit report. So for example, TransUnion only had me with 2 names. Equifax had me with 4 names. Experian had me with 6 names. So with that, you want to go through and you want to basically select the last or the name essentially that you would use. That's the name that that should also be on your driver's license. If you have multiple names on your driver's license, just send it in and still let them know, like on the letter that you're sending in, this is what you want to show up on your credit report. From there, you want to check your date of birth. So they'll have the date of birth listed where it's either going to have the month, date, in the year, or for example, on my Experian, it only has the year, but it has nothing else for my DOB. So that is something that you'll also be able to dispute while, what is this? Experian and TransUnion has my DOB, but they have the incorrect DOB. So those are things that you're also able to dispute. None of the credit bureaus have my social. So if they don't have your social is going to show up blank. From there, you have your employment information. So all your employers that you ever worked with would essentially be on there. So for mine, I have one on one particular bureau, and then on the rest, I have nothing because it probably didn't report to them, or I probably didn't fill out enough information to where it would have went back to that company. From there, you have the addresses. Now, once you have the addresses, it's going to list every single address that you've ever put on paper, or if you fill out an application, or if you ever had mail go to somebody's house. So for example, I have someone's address on here where I know I've never lived there. However, I've gotten mail there. So that address shows up on my paperwork. And I'm fine with that. Also have an address where I'm like, okay, cool. That address is there because that person, I added them to my credit. So depending on what it is, you should know how the addresses are showing up. For your account. Now, if the address is tied to anything that is open, so thank you so much for the gifts and for the likes. Now, if the what's up, big money on Twitch. I'm gonna tap in with you later. I'm doing in the live right now, an educational live. So I'm gonna tap in with you. So once you go through and you take off the addresses are always going to be important when it comes to your credit report, especially with Experian. Experian is going to F you if you have certain addresses that's tied to certain credit. On Experian, they have like a little number at the top of every, what is it? I call it like a parcel number, a case number, but it basically links that debt back to that address type shit. So that's why you want to go ahead and clear all these unnecessary addresses off of your credit profile. Now, from there, you go ahead and you jump into your account summary. When you jump into your account summary, it's going to list all your bureaus because, again, if you got the Tri-Bureau report, it's going to list all 3 of your credit bureaus. Once you go across it, it's going to have your TransUnion, your Experian, your Equifax, and your Experian. It's going to tell you the total amount of accounts. Your total number of accounts is not always going to equal the same amount of accounts.
due to the fact of not every bureau reports the same information, right? So you're never probably going to have the same amount of accounts. The accounts that are open, those are active accounts that are physically open right now, like month to date. So, for example, if you have 30 accounts and it says that only 10 of them are open, that means that, the other 20 are closed or whatever is going on with those accounts. Now, or yeah, and then it's going to see the open accounts, and then it's going to say accounts closed. So all that will be on there. Then, of course, it's going to tell you how much are delinquent, your derogatory, your collections, your balances, your payments, public records, and inquiries. Remember, all inquiries stay on your profile for 2 years. Me personally, I say within a year and a half, start to dispute the inquiries, especially if the inquiries are not tied to an account. Please do not dispute hard inquiries that are tied to particular accounts, because if you dispute those accounts, they are going to basically cancel whatever loan, or it's going to close out. It could possibly close out that credit line or whatever it is, depending on how the inquiry is listed and when it's also disputed. So once you work through that, you then go ahead and you head down to your accounts. It then tells you how many credit cards you have in total with all the bureaus. Now, once you go ahead and you do that and you jump into your account. So, for example, let me show y'all. Fuck, hopefully this shit doesn't die. So, I don't know if y'all can see this shit, but like, this is my Navy Fed, right? And with my Navy Fed, as you can see, it has perfect fucking payment history, because certain accounts, I make sure I keep those accounts flourishing always. Why? Because those banking institutions are fucking awesome and you don't want to mess up certain accounts no matter what, literally. And of course, I've heard people say, certain places are just trash. We could all agree to disagree. Your relationships that you have with everyone, including, people that you do business with, is based on how you decide that you're going to have your relationship with them. That's the best way that I could say it. Like, same thing with banks. Just open communication, be clear, be direct, and you shouldn't have an issue or a problem, honestly. So definitely work on a relationship with your bank. And when I say work on a relationship with your bank, if they have 10 products and out of the 10 products you could possibly qualify for 5, apply for the 5 that you could qualify for. However, don't break your pockets and don't break your bank attempting to like keep up with this. You feel me? So if they have like loans, or if they have whatever they have that is going to give you more data points with the bank, go ahead and jump into that, essentially, is what I'm saying. But make sure you could afford it. All right. So once you go ahead and you go into that, oh damn, this is from 2021. Sheesh. Okay. So once you go ahead and you look at your credit profile, if it's listed on all 3, it's going to be in all 3 boxes. If it's not in all 3 boxes, then it's only on those 2 or that one specific credit bureau. Once you go in, it's going to tell you if the account's in good standing. Once it tells you if the account's in good standing, it lets you know also if you're close to your credit limit. It tells you your usage with your credit limit. That is available. It also has the account number. So a lot of times if you're looking at the paperwork, so for example, on my, which one is this? On my Experian, there's no account numbers listed. It's all blanks. So even if the account number was incorrect, I would not know, because there's nothing for me to go ahead and verify that information with. However, when I look at the TransUnion and the Equifax, the Equifax was the only one that has all the numbers. However, they have like X's in the middle. But then if I look at the account number on TransUnion, what is this? Has like the first maybe 6 numbers, and then the rest are X's. So stuff like that, essentially, I would try to like dispute that. The account status, it's also going to show you if it's open, closed, or what's going on with it. Then of course your open date, your last active date. All these terminologies, if you don't know what they are, definitely tap in with Cornell Law, so you're able to go over the different terminologies and of course learn them for yourself, so that way you'll know how to read them, which also I'll go over some like simple terminologies that I definitely suggest that everyone tap in and just know the basics of that, because it will help you in the long run. Now, from there, it goes into the type of credit. So the type, if it's a credit, auto loan, whatever it is, it's going to list that there. If it's the responsibility, so the responsibility is going to account. If it's an individual account, that's normally going to list your responsibility. Remarks is like notes that they'll put on the account. Times, the 30, 60, 90 days, those are the amount of times that you're late. So if you've ever been late 30 days, anything that's under 30 days, personally, I've never seen it report. I've only seen it go over 30 days. That's when I normally see a report on there. So if you know that you've had phenomenal payment history, you never have to worry about it, because you'll see zeros in those boxes. From there, this has what? Months reviewed, 47. What is this? Highest balance, highest credit, monthly payments. It literally tells you everything that's on there. Current payments status type as agreed. So if you see as agreed on the paperwork, that means that you're paying the bill back as agreed, based on when you signed up for it. So normally I don't carry balances. Depending on what card it is, I don't carry a balance. On this specific card, I didn't carry a balance on there. So it always had my amount due as 0, 0. So even if I did add money to it, I'd always pay it off immediately. And I want to say it's because of the interest rates that were on the account itself. However, normally I'd carry a balance. So like I was telling you guys the other day, like if I know that my payments are due by if my billing cycle closes by the 10th and it's due by the 15th, I'll make a payment on like the 4th or the 5th. And then by the 10th comes around, it's basically going to report a higher usage rate, because I basically pay down a majority of my bill. However, America likes when debt carries over. So I'll always have some form of recycled debt dependent on the credit card that I'm using. Then, of course, at the bottom, it goes down like the payment information. So it tells you, if you're past due, it tells you the credit card information, the creditor's information. If you do need to get in touch with them, all of that essentially will be available to you. So once you go through that, and this also helps you when you're doing your disputes, you want to be able to see all of your accounts like neck to neck. So that way you're able to know what exactly the differences are on the accounts. And once you see those differences, that's where your factual dispute essentially would come in. Because you're seeing like, oh, okay, cool. So this is saying that, the account is closed, but then over here says that the account is open. So these are different things that you're able to use to discuss with the credit bureaus to either get the account removed or get the account updated. So you always want to know like which one would be more feasible for you. And as usual, based on the tenure of the account, I wouldn't say just automatically go ahead and get the account taken off. Go through it, make sure that's something that you're okay with losing, because if the account is good for you to lose, then if it's an account that you don't want to lose, you want to go ahead and replace that account with either a trade line or another form of credit, essentially. So once you go through your whole entire breakdown with, damn, I was fucking doing great in 2020. What is this? 2021, 2022. I fucks with it. Let's see, Walmart, Wally World. One thing I also dislike when Walmart closed their own credit cards and you end up getting like penalized for it. It's like, bro, why are y'all penalizing me for shit that y'all are doing, choosing to close out? The Department of Education loans, me personally, I keep those on there. They're always in great standing because I always do deferment. So that is definitely something that I would say, yes, they are high, but I keep them on there. It just makes my shit look good. So that's that. Let me go down. Okay, so after you go through all the accounts, so it's going to list everything. The affirms, finger huts, all of that stuff will be listed in your account section. Once you've gone over the portion of your account section, next is going to be the hard inquiries. So hard inquiries are only added to your report when you apply for new credit, or the soft inquiries now is when someone's trying to like verify, so they'll touch it, or when you get the promotional stuff in the mail, most of that stuff is also from soft inquiries. So hard inquiry, it results in a small drop in your credit score, but it's not a super major drop to where you have to be like, oh my god. And of course, after a certain time frame of being on your account, it actually does alleviate with some of the with some of the points difference. So when you look at your report also, so for example, at that time I had 13 hard inquiries on TransUnion, but then I had 9 on Experian and 12 on Equifax. So with that, depending on if the account was linked to something, do not go ahead and dispute it. So for example, I had my bike. Let's see here. So the only time my motorcycle was ever reported apparently was to Experian. So none of my bike loans essentially I would have taken off because I actively had those bikes at the time, right? So those I would have left on there. However, there's stuff like Cadillac, BMW, those I would have disputed because those cars, I no longer had them. I had gotten rid of them. So those I would have disputed to pretty much had those taken off. And when you look at your hard inquiry boxes, it does have all the information on there. So it's going to have the creditor information. It's going to tell you to type. So for example, the bike loan is considered an automotive loan, and it gave me all the information for the person essentially that I purchased the bike from. Now that loan, like I said, I kept those loans on there because I still had the bike. Once I got rid of my bike, I got rid of the loans. Or if I knew that, wait, did I have any? No, because I normally switch all my bikes out essentially by like the second going into the third year. So, and yeah, so I normally dispute the one that was before and not the one that's being added essentially. So that would have removed the hard inquiry for that. And then of course, when you apply for credit cards, that also gives you a hard inquiry. So if I applied for the credit card and when I applied for the credit card, I never got the credit card, I'm going to go ahead and dispute that inquiry because I never got the credit card. However, if I did get the credit card, I'm not going to dispute it right away. I'm going to wait that I believe Experian, you could dispute shit up to 6 months before the date that is supposed to come off. So stuff like that is what I would essentially dispute. So once you go through and you do your hard inquiries, do not do the disputes on accounts that are open unless it's past that 2 year. With T Money, thank y'all for the likes and everything else. And T, I didn't forget, I'm gonna tap in with you. I got a fucking list of people to tap in with. I'm doing terrible with that. So once you go through and you do all your hard inquiries, again, that's gonna give you some points on your back on your credit score, but it's not gonna be a whole bunch of points. All right. From there, you go into your collection section. So the collections is literally a section where everybody and their mom always fucking says it's not me or it's not this or it's not that. Bro, stop. Like after a while, it becomes frivolous and they do not they don't really look at your case as a case anymore because then it looks like you're just reporting shit like everybody else. So when you do your collections and you're looking at your collections, right? And again, with your tri-bureau, this is where it's perfect. So for example, I have one here that hopefully y'all can see it. So this one is only listed on the first 2 credit bureaus, right? And on the first 2 credit bureaus is TransUnion and Equifax. So with that, I know, hey, I'm now going to go in and when I'm looking at it, we're going line for line. So you want to make sure that the amount is the same across the board. You want to make sure that's the same company that's collecting, because yes, a lot of times it will say one company's name and then another company's name. You got to do your research to see if it's a sister company or a partner company, whatever the fuck it is. At the end of the day, it could probably come off of your credit. Literally the jack of all trades. What's up? Okay, how are you? I'm trying. um, what else? So from there, you go ahead and you hit the account numbers. When you hit the account numbers, this is what I was telling y'all. So, and again, I'm always showing y'all with my shit because I don't know who else shit to show y'all with. Like, I don't give a fuck, bro. Life after death, there's so much shit that I don't give a fuck about. It's not even funny. Y'all niggas want my whole blood type. We could. So, when you look at your credit report, right? Y'all see where it has those little X's right here? So right there where the account number is, on this side it has like 4 X's. On that side it has 1 X, right? What I would then do is I'm grabbing my if you have access to the paperwork, I'm going back to that paperwork and now I'm gonna verify the amount of X's because a lot of times they'll put all these X's and it didn't equal the account number. If it didn't equal the account number, that's a factual dispute. So you would circle that. So right here, it could possibly be right. It could possibly be wrong. We don't fucking know because Equifax has the whole entire account number. However, TransUnion only has a portion of that. From there, you want to check the date that it was opened because again, if you're somebody like me who's lazy as fuck, you know which people I probably done fucked them when I was working at my uncle's. I was working at my uncle's car dealership, and if you came in that bitch Friday at 3 o'clock, you were fucked because I would personally tell you, yeah, so I need you to take that car, but don't crash the car. And Florida has that whole no fault bullshit. So if they didn't have car insurance and all that shit, I'd be like, yo, come back on Monday. I got you because there's a whole bunch of paperwork. So yes, you bought the car Friday, but when did PG actually put in the paperwork? Only fucking God knows. So shit like that actually does happen. So stuff like that, you want to make sure that you keep like a track of, okay, so this was supposed to be open on this date. Why does it say this date? That would also help you with your dispute process. So for example, your last date of activity also does matter because here it is on one bureau, it's saying that my last date of activity was November 2022 on TransUnion, but then on Equifax it's saying September 2nd, 2021. So right there, that's another dispute that you could then go ahead and say, hey, that's incorrect. That needs to come off of my profile. From there, we go ahead and we jump into the name of the creditor. So remember, if it's a company that's collecting on behalf of a creditor, it's going to say the name of the company that's collecting. And then somewhere in the notes, it will say like the original creditor. So if that information is correct, you're pretty much good. You should have your monthly payments and everything else listed. From there, it's going to tell you the current ratings. So it'll say like collection / charge off or whatever it is. Now here it is. I have a collection / charge off, yet it still says that the account is open. Houseway. So that is something else that I can now add to my bracket as, okay, I could go in and dispute this information because that is incorrect. With that being said, it was account type individual because that was an account that I did for myself. So here it is again, factual disputes, right? So I'm not going to go to the credit bureau and be like, oh, well, here my account says that it's charged off and closed on the first round. No, I'm going to then reach out to the credit bureau and say, hey, so I have this account. Can you guys go ahead and verify the information for me? Because what I'm looking at right now, it's showing me something different. When they look at that information for you, they should then see on their end, damn, why the fuck does this say it's collections is charged off, but it's still open? Make it make sense, right? So that right there, more than likely what they'll do, I'm no cap, they'll then update it to show the most correct information, which then would validate it, which it sucks, but then you still want them to validate it. Now, if they miss the validation completely on the second round, this is now where you do your factual dispute and you're like, hey, so this is collections account. How's it still listed that is open? Not to mention at the top, remember where I told you guys where the last active date, one says November 2nd, 2022, and then the other one says September 2nd, 2021. Linda, what's going on? So those would be 2 ways right there. I already got 3 ways how, if I was disputing this charge, how I get it taken off of the account. So from there we go through, we look at the high balance, you look at your unpaid balance. After you do that, you want to go ahead and just check to see what it says. Now, when you've done your own your own disputes, it's always going to tell you in the comment section, like account information disputed by consumer. Then on this other side, it says consumer disputes this account information. Anytime you've gone through and you've done your disputes, you always want to see some form of update or comment on that. Just so that way you know, like, okay, cool, this was already done. Also, please, after you've done 6 disputes within that year, just don't do any more disputes. Give it a couple of months, preferably 2 to 3 months. Like, don't rush the process of trying to fix your credit. Like, the shit's not gonna happen overnight. In the aspect of, if there's something on there that's permanent, yes, it might take time, but it can come off. Like, you just got to know it's going to be a waiting game. So from there, you look for your payment history. When you check out your payment history should show up. So here it is. You're telling me that my account's closed, but yet on one account is saying that I've made 90% of my payments on time on the account, but yet you're telling me that my account is charged off because it wasn't paid. Make it make sense. So that's something where those would be great for you. Now, here goes another account. So like I was showing you guys, with a triple bureau account, TransUnion, Equifax, Experian. So on this one, I only have a TransUnion, I only have an Experian. With that, because this is empty, we know, hey, ain't nothing, that account essentially only reports to these 2 bureaus. Damn, not me dropping, y'all. My bad. Tickety talk. So once you go ahead and you head down to your next section, again, verify your amount, verify the company. So for example, I'm 99.9 sure that this is probably a medical bill. So here it is. I have, what is this, 1,566, right? And it says like IC services. Damn, this, wait, should I turn down my backlight? Let's see. Yo, I can't wait to get my shit set back up so I can, like, got my little screen in the back and shit going so y'all can see it better. Is this better? All right, that, nope. Damn, thought it would have been better. So here it is, IC systems, and a lot of these collection companies also, especially when it comes to like the debt, please verify that they should be collecting from your state, or that they have jurisdiction to collect from your state before you get into like paying them, because a lot of times they don't have jurisdiction. So for example, now this medical debt was only reported to TransUnion and Experian. Me personally, I don't give a fuck about medical bills on my credit report. It's medical bills. It is what it is. Like, honestly, yeah, I put medical bills and student loans in the same category for me on my credit report, because the simple fact of most of my school stuff is like 20, 30, 40K type shit. So it looks good on paper. America loves debt, so it looks good on paper. Then, of course, if you're building your account at the same time, you have the right amount of credit cards, you have the right amount of long-term loans, short-term loans. Make your account look beefy on paper. They're going to always give you money. Legit shit. Like, your debt to income ratio, as long as it looks good, the government's going to give you money, or the United States is going to give you money, essentially. So then you jump in. You want to look at the account details. Again, grab your account number. If you have the paperwork yourself, grab it, go through and verify. So for here, TransUnion has it as 189 and then X's. What the fuck is an X's? So now I gotta sit here, count all these X's to make sure that if it's 10 numbers on my paper, the X's need to equal 10 X's, essentially. And then over on Equifax, they have all the numbers except for 3. So I would still dispute that, because it's like, what could the possible 3 numbers be? I don't want to assume. And if you can't see it and I can't see it, how the hell we know that the last and then 3 numbers are correct? I need you to go ahead and remove that account. So that's essentially how I dispute the accounts when they come up on my account, depending on how it's listed. So from there, you want to go through, you're going to check your dates that is open, the last date of activity. So here it is. This is saying on one account, the last date of activity was November 3rd, 2022. But then on the other Experian is saying it's March 1st, 2022. So November, March, two different couple months in between, you feel me? So at this point, it's like, okay, that again is incorrect information. That would go under your factual folder. So off rip, you would have highlighted the account number as being a problem, your last active date as being a problem, because what is your actual last active date? Is it November or is it March? Y'all should have been verifying this before you put it on my credit. Then from there, you want to see who's the creditor. So remember, I told y'all that your original creditor and the company that soon use two different companies. So now when I'm looking at the original creditor, it's the Balthazar Group. I have so much fucking medical bills. I already know, okay, cool, that's medical debt. So IC Systems is a collector for medical bills. That would be fine because that company I know is work with them. So from there, it has a monthly payment. Nothing's listed there for both. Then of course it says term source type, and then for when it has provided. So for example, me, I'm not the most smartest cookie in the jar, but guess who's also the smartest cookie in the jar, right? Cornell Law. So we would then go ahead and we're going to head over to Cornell Law, and we're going to see what the fuck provided means, because I don't remember what the fuck provided means. Why are we banging? Yo, one time I tell you I'm so over like computers, it's not even funny. No. Which one has? Nope. Did I open this in the wrong folder? Of course we did, PG. All right, so we're gonna see what provided means in respect to credits. And of course, you just want to make sure that once you're learning the terminologies, or you lock into what the terminology is, when you're rewriting your statements, use those same exact words. So whatever it describes it as, you're then going to go ahead and use those same terminologies. StreamYard, no. Okay, come on. Nope. And voila. Okay, so provided. All right, so on a credit report, the phrase provided or provided by indicates the source of a specific piece of information. It means the credit bureau, Equifax, Experian, or TransUnion did not create the data themselves. Rather, it was supplied by an outside institution. So shit like that, like, what's good, chat? I'm gonna tap